Hello there, and welcome to Homeschooling Adventures. My name is P. Jerauni, and in today's video, we are going to be looking at perfect markets and looking at the different equilibrium positions. Now, this is what we need to understand. Maybe someone will be asking, what exactly is a perfect market? Now, a perfect market is a market that exists when it satisfies the following characteristics. The first characteristic of a perfect market is we have plenty buyers, or we have what are called numerous buyers and sellers. In other words, in a perfect market, we have numerous buyers, okay, and sellers. Okay, in other words, these numerous buyers and sellers are such that it is not possible for an individual buyer or an individual supplier to influence the market price. Okay, and then the second characteristic that you need to understand about a perfect market is the firms, they act as price takers. In other words, the firms are the ones that are going to accept the price. The individual businesses, the individual firms are going to accept the prices, and we'll notice just now where the prices are going to come from. And then you would also understand that when you say firms are price takers, what we are saying, dear learners, is we are saying the firms, they don't give the price, but they accept the price as is determined by the market forces. Okay, so the firms are not the ones that are giving the prices, but they are the ones that are accepting the prices as is determined by market forces. When you say market forces, we are talking about the forces of demand and supply. Okay, now you also need to remember this other characteristic about perfect markets. We said there are no barriers to entry and exit. In other words, in a perfect market, firms are free to come into the market, and as well as they are also free to leave the market. There is nothing that is going to stop them from coming into the market as well as leaving the market. Okay, and then you would also need to understand that when you talk about the perfect markets, okay, you would now need to understand that the individual businesses, they are going to make what is called economic profit or economic losses in the short run, and then in the long run they are going to make normal profits. So I'm just going to illustrate all that in graphs, but we said they make economic profits, okay, or losses in short run. Okay, and then they make normal profits in long run. Okay, then someone might be asking, what is short run and what is long run? Now I'm just going to explain these two things. When we talk about short run period, learners, this is the period of time in which at least one of the cost is a fixed cost. At least one cost, okay, or is going to be fixed. In other words, one variable, one cost is going to be fixed, okay, and the rest can be variable cost. Are we together there? If we have at least one cost that remains fixed, then that period of time is referred to as the short run period. And then when we have all the costs as a variable cost, all the cost elements, where we have them as a variable cost elements, then it means we are saying that period is a long run period. In other words, all the costs are going to be variable. Then we refer to that period as the long run period. Now this is what you need to understand. The short run period, we have one cost element that is fixed. And then in the long run period, we have all the cost elements as a variable. Okay, so this is the difference that we have between a long run and a short run period, just to remind you on this concept here. Now, you would now also understand that the products that are being offered by firms that operate in a perfect market, they are said to be homogeneous products. The products that they offer, they are said to be homogeneous products. Okay? Meaning to say, these products, they are identical. When we say products are identical, we are saying they are the same, okay? So in other words, the product that is made by farmer A is the same as the product that is made by farmer B. For example, tomatoes that are made by farmer A, if it's the same type of tomatoes, then it means they are also exactly the same as the tomatoes that are made by farmer B. So in this case, I'm going to be looking at the agricultural sector or the farming industry as an example of a perfect market. But you would also need to understand that in the context of South Africa, we also have the Johannesburg Securities Exchange as an example of our perfect market firm. So we have Johannesburg Securities Exchange, or sometimes we can even also consider the farming industry, the agricultural sector, as an example of a close to a perfect market industry. Okay, right. So we are saying their products that they offer, they are homogeneous, meaning to say these products are identical. Okay, and then you would also need to understand that these firms that operate in a perfect market, okay, because there are many firms that operate in a perfect market. Their demand curve, the demand curve for the individual firm is going to be perfectly elastic demand curve. In other words, it's horizontal. If you would recall from when we looked at the behavior of cost, okay, we identified that the elasticity for a demand curve, when it is perfectly elastic, we said the elasticity is going to be shown by a horizontal demand curve, okay, by a horizontal demand curve. That's a demand curve that illustrates a perfectly elastic demand. Okay, so firms that operate in this perfect market, they have what is called a perfectly elastic demand. Okay, now what is the significance of perfectly elastic demand? It means that if the firm decides to sell the products at a price higher than the price that is being dictated by the market, then the firm is going to lose on sales. In other words, they are not going to sell anything, because the information that we have in that market is a perfect information. There is what is called perfect knowledge. Okay, there's perfect knowledge. Okay, there's perfect knowledge. So it means people, they know exactly where to buy the products and at what price the products are supposed to be sold for. So if one firm decides to sell their products at a price above what is dictated by the market, then that firm is going to risk not selling anything, because the people are going to leave the firm and they go to the next business where they are going to buy the products at a lower price. Okay, so these are some of the characteristics of a perfect market. Now I'm just going to use some of these characteristics to determine the graph for a perfect market. And now you need now to understand that we said we are having two graphs here. We are going to have two graphs. One is for the industry. Okay, the one is going to be for the industry and the other one is going to be for the individual business, individual firm. Okay, individual firm. So we have one for the industry and the other one for the individual firm. And it is important, learners, in the exam to name your graph, to give a name to your graph. Like this is an industry graph and this one is an individual firm graph. And what we also need to understand is what is happening is in the industry is what is happening in the market. Okay, so in other words, our industry graph is representing the market. Okay, in other words, the industry graph is going to represent the market. And then this side of the industry graph represents the quantity. The same thing happens with our individual business. It also represents quantity. And then we have the origin, and then this side is the price, and then we also have our origin, and this side is going to be the price. Okay, now we said this industry is representing the market. Now someone might be asking themselves, what is an industry? Now an industry is a group of firms that carry out related activities. In other words, we have a group of firms that carry out related activities. For example, generally speaking, we have what is called a motor industry. A motor industry is a group of different motor businesses or motor firms. For example, we have Mercedes-Benz, we have BMW, we have VW. These are automotive firms, okay? They produce individual cars, correct? And they operate in what is called a motor industry. So inside the industry, we have a group of individual firms that carry out related activities. That's what an industry is. Are we together? So this graph here is representing an industry. Okay? And inside that industry, we are going to have individual businesses that are operating in that particular industry. Okay? And you do now understand that in that industry, because it's a market, it means this one is my demand curve, and then that's where we are going to have our supply curve. And this one is the aggregate supply, and this one is our aggregate demand. Okay, our demand here is representing aggregate demand in the industry, which is the total amount of goods or services that are demanded by the market, as well as the total number of goods and services that are going to be supplied by the firms that are operating in that particular industry. So in this case, we have this point that our demand is going to meet our supply, which we are going to call our market equilibrium. Okay, and at market equilibrium, this is what is happening. We have probably the quantity that is being offered is 300. Okay, and probably the price that is being dictated there is 10 rands per unit. So what will happen now is, because we said this characteristic here, individual firms are price takers. So this individual firm is going to accept the price from the market as is determined by the market. And when they accept the price, it would mean that they are going to sell any quantity that they need. They can sell as many units as they want, as long as they are selling at the price as is determined by the industry, in this case 10 rands, as long as they sell at 10 rands. Okay, and this curve that I've drawn here is what is called the demand curve, and that's our demand is equal to marginal revenue, which is equal to our average revenue, which is equal to our price. Okay, that's what we are talking about. So the name of this is a demand curve, but you would now recall that our demand curve is equal to marginal revenue, which is equal to our average revenue, which is equal to our price. Okay, all right, per unit. So we can sell as many units as we want, as long as we are selling along at this price of 10 rands. Okay, as is determined by the industry or by the market. So this is the price taker role of an individual business. Okay, and then you do also now understand that we said these businesses here, because they are selling homogeneous products, it would mean that there is perfect information. In other words, if they decide to sell at a price that is higher than 10 rands, no one is going to buy. No one will come to buy. They will go and buy next door where the products are going to be sold at 10 rands, which is cheaper. Okay, if they also sell at a price that is below, then it would mean that they are going to lose out on potential revenue or potential income. Okay, like for example, if they would sell at 9 rands, then it would mean that the market is saying we are willing to give you at 10 rands. Then the business says no, we are going to give you at 9 rands. Then the business is going to lose out. Okay, because the market is willing to give them at 10 rands. And then according to the objectives of businesses, which is profit maximization, it would now mean that the businesses are going to sell at the highest possible price. Okay, in this case, the highest possible price is our 10 rands. Okay, right. And then you do now need to understand that we have identified that D is equal to MR is equal to AR is equal to price. Now, the thing that we have, for us to be able to have marginal revenue, it means there should be a cost that we have incurred somewhere, and that cost is called marginal cost. Okay, for us to realize the average revenue, average revenue, it means there was an average cost that was incurred somewhere. Now, the question is, Where is my average cost? Now, at first, because this one is in the short run, because it's in the short run, it would now mean that my average cost, for the individual business, we said they are going to make economic profits or economic losses. But I'm going to start by illustrating economic profits. So with economic profits, it would now mean that my average cost is going to sink into the average revenue. It's going to cut the average revenue. Okay? Now, it would now mean that this is my average cost curve. It's a U curve. It's a U-shaped curve. Okay? It's U-shaped. Okay? That's my average cost. So in this case, we have now drawn for the average cost for my average revenue, then I still have marginal cost that I need to relate with the average revenue. Because remember, revenue goes with cost. These two, they go together. So when there's a revenue, there should be a cost somewhere. Okay? So we have identified marginal revenue. We need to identify the marginal cost. And in this case, my marginal cost, remember, it's a tick, or it takes the shape of a knife. Okay? That's my marginal cost there. It's a tick. Okay? Or a knife. Okay, that's my marginal cost. Okay, now when we look at that, our marginal cost, remember, learners, is supposed to cut the AC at its lowest. In other words, our marginal cost crosses the average cost curve at its lowest. Okay, and when the marginal cost crosses the average cost, it turns into what we call the supply curve. In other words, this part here becomes a supply curve. It turns into a supply curve. Okay? Now, we now go back again. The thing that we need to identify is, we need to identify the equilibrium point. Okay? We need to identify the equilibrium point for the individual firm. Now, this is the first rule. We are saying equilibrium point is when where our MC is equal to our MR, okay? Or you would now need to understand that this, from the general sense, we are saying equilibrium is when supply curve is equal to our demand curve. Are we together? Equilibrium is when supply curve is equal to demand curve. So we said, when MC curve crosses the AC curve, it turns into a supply curve. And this one is my demand curve, this one is now my supply curve. So my equilibrium point is where MC crosses the demand curve, and that's the point E. That's my equilibrium. Okay? Now, this point, that is the equilibrium point, is where our MC is also equal to MR. Because our MC curve is equal to our MR curve, which is this one here. Are we together? So you will find that at equilibrium point, that's the point where we are saying our MC is equal to MR as well. Okay? And then you would also need to understand that that point is the point that we call where MC is equal to MR. This point, we say that's the point of profit maximization. Maximization. That's the point of profit maximization, where MC is equal to MR. That's the point of profit maximization. In other words, the individual firm maximizes its profits at a point where MC is equal to MR, where marginal cost is equal to marginal revenue. That's the point of profit maximization. Any point above that, the firm is going to be making profits. If our marginal revenue is above our marginal cost, then we are saying the profits are going to be even higher. Okay? Right. So we are saying that's the point of profit maximization. So you need to understand this rule. Profits are maximized when MC is equal to MR. Okay? And then the equilibrium point is where supply curve is the same as the demand curve. Correct? Where supply meets demand. That's the equilibrium point. And you would now need to understand that at that point where supply meets demand, it's the same point at which our MC is meeting our MR. Are we together there? So you need to understand that. And then at this point, now remember we said we want to establish whether this firm here is making economic profits or economic losses. Okay, so what we would now do is we are going to go to the equilibrium. Everything should start from the equilibrium point. So from the equilibrium, I am going to go down, draw a line going down. Probably here my quantity is given as 80. So it means out of these 300 that are aggregate supplied in the market, this particular firm is offering 80 in this 300. Okay, so this is 80. So at this 80, which is being offered by individual firm, it would now mean that their revenue, their average revenue is 10 rands per unit. Okay, so what we'll do now is when we are calculating whether it's economic profit or economic loss, we would say economic profit is equal to total revenue minus total cost. Are we together? So it would now mean that our total revenue is found by saying price times quantity. Okay, this price here is the revenue price. Okay, and then we are subtracting our price times quantity. This price here is the average cost. Okay, so this is the average cost, there's the price, and this one is the average revenue as the price. So in this case now, it would now mean that when we are calculating our total revenue, we are going to say total revenue, the price for total revenue, this is our average revenue, right? So the price here is 10, okay, in relation to our average revenue, because D is equal to MRI is equal to AR, which is equal to price. So this price here, okay, our average revenue is 10 rands, okay, and the quantity that was sold at equilibrium is what? Is 80. So we are going to multiply by 80 there. And then we are subtracting our cost. We said it's average cost. So our average cost, our AC curve is this one here, which means our average cost is here, okay, from the equilibrium, from this equilibrium quantity, you draw a line going up until you touch your average cost from your equilibrium quantity. You draw a line going up until you touch your average cost. And then from there, this is my average cost, and then I draw it going to the price axis, where I'm going to see that probably my price is 6 rands. So it means now my price, my average cost price is 6 times the quantity remains at 80, okay, because that's the market quantity, okay, and then it would now mean that this is 800 minus this one becomes a 480, and so if you subtract 480 from 800, you are going to get your answer as a 320, okay, that's 320. So that 320 becomes our economic profit. Why are we saying it's economic profit? It's economic profit because our average cost here is less than our revenue. When our cost is less than our revenue, in other words, our cost is less than the income that we made, then we say we have made a profit. Okay, and this is economic profit, okay, because we have our average cost is less than our average revenue, or our total cost is less than our total revenue, okay, so this is economic profit, and this happens in the short run. This happens in the short run. Now, because there is no barriers to entry, because there are no barriers to entry, we said there are no barriers to entry in this market. It would now mean that these economic profits of 320, they are going to end up attracting more businesses into the industry. Correct? Because now they've realized that there is more money that is being made in that particular industry. So more businesses are going to come into the industry. And when those businesses come into the industry, they are going to increase on aggregate supply. They will increase on aggregate supply, shifting the supply curve to the right. Are we together? increasing on aggregate supply. And when that happens, it means our aggregate supply curve is going to shift to the right, forming a new aggregate supply that I'm going to call AS1. AS1 there. Okay? And at AS1, it would now mean that a new equilibrium position is established that I'm going to call E1. Now let's just analyze what is happening. What has happened here is a new market quantity has increased probably to 400, and because the new market quantity has increased, it would now mean that the price is going to go down from 10 to 6. Okay, the price will go down from 10 to 6. Okay, and this particular business here remains a price taker. It remains as a price taker, but this one now is in the long run now. So what it would now mean is we are going to have this business taking the price, and that price that they have taken is going to be accepted by the this individual business. And at this point, it forms a new demand curve in the long run that we are going to call D1 is equal to MR1, which is equal to AR1, which is equal to our P1. Okay, now this is now the new demand curve that has been created. Okay, now, and a new price that has been created, and a new average revenue and new marginal revenue that has been created in the long run now. Now it's in the long run because both the price and the quantity has changed. Quantity has increased, price has gone down, it has changed. So in that case, this one now is in the long run. This one is in the long run. Okay, so it would now mean that in the long run, learners, we are going to end up having this marginal cost, it becomes the long run marginal cost. This average cost becomes the long run average cost. Okay, and then it forms that point there. So at that point, you do now need to understand that the AC curve is just touching the lowest point of the AC curve is in tangent with the demand curve. The lowest point of the AC curve, of the average cost curve, is in tangent with the average revenue curve. And at that point, it would mean that the business is making zero economic profits. If businesses make zero economic profits, it would mean that the business is making normal profits. Zero economic profits, dear learners, it means it's normal profits. Okay, zero economic profits is normal profits. So what it would now mean is, let's just go back again and try to calculate the profitability here. So what it means now is we are going to end up saying economic profits is equal to TR, that's long run total revenue, that's long run revenue, minus the long run total cost. Okay, long run total cost. Okay, which means now in this case, the long run total revenue, we are still having our price there, our average price, which we said is now 6. So it means now our average price is now 6 times our quantity, the long run quantity. We are saying this is where MC is equal to MR here. So it means now our quantity has gone down from 80 to probably 60. It means now the business is now probably selling 60. Okay, so it's going to be 60 there. Okay, and then this one, remember this one is our new equilibrium. Okay, this is our new equilibrium, E1. And then you will now subtract our long run total cost, which we said our average cost curve is here, and that's that point there, the price is going to be 6 per unit, and then you would also understand that the quantity is going to be 60. Okay, the market quantity at the second equilibrium position is going to be 60. Okay, so in that case now, it now means that in this case, it's going to be 360 minus a 360 there. Okay, and at this point, it's a 0. Now, this 0 here that we have is zero economic profits, which is referred to in economics as normal profits. Okay? So this is why we are saying businesses that operate in a perfect market, in the long run, they are going to make normal profits. Why are they making normal profit? It is because there are no barriers to entry. So businesses are free to come into the industry or exit the industry. If there's profits, those profits are going to attract more businesses into the industry. If it is in the case of losses, then those losses are going to repel businesses from the industry. Okay, so this is what happens in a perfect market. If you like the video, click the like button and remember to subscribe to the channel. All the best in your studies. I'm out.